I'd like to call this meeting of the Show Low City Council to order. Show that all council members are present with the exception of Councilman Adams, who has to be excused tonight. Tonight, I've asked Councilman Judd to lead us in the invocation, followed by the pledge by Councilman Clark. If you'd all like to stand and join us, you may do so.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to meet together in a city council. We're grateful for our many blessings. We're grateful for our city staff and all they do to help the city be beautiful and continue to operate. For our first responders, all that they do, and bravery and honor. Grateful for this opportunity we have to discuss city business, and we pray that thy spirit will guide us. Beautiful community that we have to live in, citizens that love and help. We say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Judd. Councilman Clark, appreciate that. All righty, next item on the agenda is call to the public. Any citizen desire to speak on a matter that is with the jurisdiction of the city council may do so at this time. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person and shall be addressed to the city council as a whole and not to any individual member. Issues raised shall be limited to those with the jurisdiction, cannot discuss or act on items presented at this time. At the conclusion of the call to the public, individual council members may respond to criticism made by those who have spoken, ask staff to review a matter, and ask that the matter be put on a future agenda. First person I have is Mr. Slatton.
Mayor, council, staff, citizens of Show Low. My name's Steve Slayton. Myself and my wife, we own the Trump store. A lot of you know that. Came here to speak in front of you all in the matter of the invasion. We're at a crisis not only on the southern border, we're seeing many illegals coming through on the streets in front of our store. We also now have, this appears to be getting into our dumpster, along with the dumpster next door to us is the Dome. And behind us, there's like a lot of trash now being there. They're getting ravaging, I guess, I don't know, looking for food or what, I don't know. And it looks like they're sleeping, trying to make a little encampment as they mosey through, I guess, on it. This is getting serious. We know that Yuma has been overran, Agulhas is overran, El Paso, Texas is overran, and if we get overran here, our little community cannot handle that. I think you're all quite aware of that. What I proposed is for the council and the mayor and the staff to get with our Sheriff Klaus. I had a very nice conversation with him today, and I don't know if you guys received this or not. What is this? It's from the Arizona Sheriff's Association. It's a memo that just came out a few days ago. I brought copies I could hand to you. Here. Read this. And it's basically the sheriffs, 10 of the sheriffs are extremely concerned. And I have also a memorandum from Sheriff Klaus on key points. It's on page 2. Where he's actually crying out for help. And I think the sheriff and all our communities and police departments need to get together, come up with an action plan, how to deal with this. We're not going to get it from the federal government. We're not going to get it from the Arizona state government. So I think the cities are going to have to pull together, figure out a way that we're going to have to deal with this. And I think we need to do it now before it starts escalating, getting worse and worse on it. I just want to bring this to your attention. I'm sure you're aware of it. We put a call out to a lot of members to come out tonight and speak about it, and we're very concerned about it. So we hope that you will take this up, get hold of all the other communities as well as the law enforcement, and come up with an action plan. Because I think you all know Show Low's not big enough to absorb a massive wave of illegals. I thank you.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Weber?
All right. Thank you for having me. Mine is pretty simple. I just want to know if there's any public safety measures in place if we do get an influx into our city. That's a question for any of you to answer. And with that, I reside.
Thank you. This Slatton. Like, is it Slayton or Slatton? Slayton, okay. Sorry about that.
I'm Karen Slayton, the owner of the Trump Store, co-owner of the Trump Store. We've lived in Show Low a long time, 15 years. We've owned the Trump Store for 7 in the city of Show Low. We watch the concerns of the people who come into our store every single day, all day long. Everybody knows, of course, as Steve said, what's happening on the border. As we see people coming into our town, our city, our county, it gets more and more concerning every day. Everyone knows, as Steve said, the federal government isn't interested in our rights, nor is the current governor of Arizona. Excuse me. But we are, because this is our community. Our community is vital to all of us, to our children, to our families, to the people who come visit us from all over the state, and quite frankly, all over the world. Our ask, excuse me, is that the county take this, the city, take this very seriously, and that you put it on the agenda to discuss it, perhaps with Sheriff Klaus as well. As Steve said, we spoke to him today, excuse me, and have an open discussion about our community, how to keep the people safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Juliana? Juliana? I think sure can't pronounce the last. Juliana? I wasn't going to try. Sorry.
Thank you so much for having me. You probably know me, Juliana. I ran for school board. I might look familiar, and I know most of us here are conservatives, and we might be divided on many different issues. But as a person who used to live in New York City, and at one point we got overrun with illegal immigration, this is something we need to all unite. This is not good. I am friends with a lady who ran Trump's campaign in 2016 in Pensacola. She knows many people who run the border, who are on the border. And she said about 80%, and there are reports that confirm this, people that are coming through, they're not just refugee families, which is most of us assume they are. About 75 to 80% are military age men from 16 to 45. These are grown men. They make up about 80% of people that are coming currently through the border. They're flying into Mexico and crossing through the border. There's already reports of groups of men in Yuma and other parts of Arizona. We're going to be hit probably the most. So this is very concerning. A good friend of mine lives in Holbrook. She trains ladies firearms. And she said she'd never seen a Democrat in her class before. But one lady, she came home. Her husband was unloading the groceries. He didn't come into home with her. He was grabbing. She came in. There was a man sitting eating food in her kitchen. He's just staring at her eating food. She said she was so grateful she came home with her husband, because only when she saw her husband, he took off. So now she's getting trained to get a firearm, and they're getting an alarm system. So we will see property crime go up. And unfortunately, this is something that we would need to raise as a community, and I hope we can become unified and that we can all look out for each other. Maybe we can establish community watch or something. We can all come together, keep each other safe, because this is quite alarming. And I feel like this should unify us and bring us together, because I understand none of you can vote what to do with the border. We're in Show Low here. But there's many things that you guys can do, and when we come together, we will be a powerful force to look out for each other and keep each other.
Well, just a quick comment. I'm sure our chief's back there. I'm sure he's pretty well aware of that. I'm sure he's met with Sheriff Klaus, and we're definitely concerned, obviously. What we're going to do, we don't know yet. I mean, it's something that's new. But I appreciate all your guys' concerns, and I appreciate you coming because I'm sure all of us in this room are probably concerned. So I just don't know what we can do yet. Like I said, I'm sure the chief and the sheriff will get together and see where it goes. But I appreciate it, and we're very concerned as well. Watching some of that on TV is just unbelievable. Thank you again. Okay, moving right along under special events, recognition of the winners of the Kids Rock Poster Contest and presentation of prizes. Mrs. Hall.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Kids Rock program is an educational outreach program designed to teach third grade students about city government and what it meant to be a good citizen. The students received tours of our different city facilities, and city staff explained how each facility operated. The program will finish with a pool party. I believe it's next week. And then we're also doing our poster contest. And what the poster contest is, we gave it out to all the third graders, to all the students at Nicholas Homestead. And we asked them to just illustrate their ideas of what community pride meant to them. And so with that, we do have our 3 winners. And Mayor, if you will give out our prize.
I will. Just a quick comment. I was out of town during the judging of this. I know last year we had, it's amazing how many posters, first of all, you get, and the artists as a 3-year-old, some of these are amazing. They colored third graders, not 3-year-olds, third graders. Some of them colored the front, the back. It was amazing. I didn't get to see how many you had this year. I don't know if anybody up here judged them. There was quite a few. But we'll start with third place first. Salvador, are you here? There you are. Come on up. I don't know if you could see his drawing right here, but it pretty much shows all the hotels, the library, the Deuce of Clubs, the school, the churches. So it was pretty amazing, and that's third place. We're going to give you that, but we're keeping the poster. We're going to display these posters at City Hall, I believe. Anyway, congratulations, Salvador. Our second place, Tyler. How do you pronounce your last name? What I was going to say, but anyway, he drew, you probably can't see, the police department. Pretty amazing. Congratulations. Good job.
Yeah.
Trying to drop.
Yep.
And our first place winner was Mia Ortiz. And Mia drew the card game, but this was the one I was talking about. She even colored the back of it. I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, she did a great job. Congratulations.
So heavy.
Congratulations. Good job. Thank you. Thank you, Connie. Good. Councilman Clark wanted to make a comment.
Oh, I just wanted to say, but some of you might have in the audience saw before, I went out and talked to one of our audience members, and Mrs. Barbara Jackson was my third grade teacher. And we did a poster contest when I was in third grade about the harmful effects of drugs and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't Kids Rock, but it was very similar. You won prizes and stuff like that. And so Mia, it's kind of cool to see that, you know, your great grandma had a hand in the arts of Sholo. I don't know how long ago it was, 30 something years ago. And to see her here tonight was really great for me. So it's good to see you, Mrs. Jackson.
Awesome. Any comments? Anybody else? Any comments?
Just good job, kiddos, in your
expression of the city of Show Low and your pride. I'd also like to thank the city clerk's office for all their work in our Kids Rock program. It's a wonderful program that we've done for a number of years and just keeps growing, and a great job.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. Appreciate it. Okay, next item on the agenda is from Mr. Jarrett, the Navajo County Peace Officers Memorial presentation.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, staff, thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's done. It's complete. I want you to know that it's across the street. Almost 2 years of work on it with a lot of help from everybody, from all of you guys. First and foremost, I want to thank you. Thank you for the place to put it. Thank you for the funding that helped, get it done. Thank you for the personnel to do everything. Thank you to Morgan, for putting up that. The dedication went off just beautifully. It just went off without a hitch. And couldn't have done that, Morgan. Bill Kopp, everybody, from the City Works, Public Works. It was marvelous. I just want to say thank you. Before I go further with other events and things that are going on, I have some little trinkets of my appreciation, and they're challenge coins that I want to especially council members.
Thank you.
Betty, does that mean he's sleeping now or no? Still not?
He's coming up with something else to do.
Well, you just bought another house to work on.
To work on, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Try to make money. And then we'll set this here.
You bet. Thank you very much. Nice. Thank you.
Challenge coins we had made that we gave out to all the survivors, to some of the major contributors, councils, and boards that helped us, and it's just a way of thanking you for doing all you have. It's just amazing. I hope you're as proud of it as I am, as we all are. One of the neat things that we were able to do is last Thursday I met with the Show Low Main Street. What we're trying to do is get some kind of a committee or a board to ensure that the monuments, and this is plural, the Peace Officer Memorial, the Veterans Memorial is always taken care of and clean. We're not sure how this is all going to transpire. There's a lot of work ahead. We just want to ensure that things happen, that the funding is available, through donations or otherwise, that can take care of these things, especially for 5 years when it has to be kind of stripped and resealed. At least the terrazzo, the concrete wall itself will have to be resealed. There's some ongoing maintenance to ensure that it looks good, and I know we all want it to continue to look good. So the purpose of this board is to just have the oversight to ensure the continued maintenance, cleaning, a 5-year reseal, and for any possible future additions and or enhancements, because we already had a few ideas from people to put little flower holders on there, something we never had anticipated, so something to look at to do. And as well as for any other more, including the Veterans Memorial, by the way, and including any other memorials that could possibly pop up that we would help to fund, possibly to help oversee. We've got some knowledge on a few things. As I like to say, I learned a little about a lot of things I didn't know I needed to know about through all this. So that's part of it. And then also to ensure the guidelines, especially for the Navajo County Peace Officer Memorial, are followed. And that is sadly, the qualifications to be on our memorial. It's not difficult to be on there, but you have to be at least in Navajo County or be a member of one of the law enforcement agencies within Navajo County. And then there is a handout that I won't go over it, but it has the current inclusive guidelines for any officer that is killed or injured and then dies subsequently, whether within the county, without the county, outside the county, for their inclusion. For information, the memorial cost us a total of $109,999.13. And then out of that, we have $13,291.84 that can go into the continued maintenance of the memorial to help pay for additions, whatever, the cleaning and that kind of good stuff. So we are hoping at this point in time that the City of Show Low personnel can at least do some weekly checks. I think that Councilman Ossett might want to talk about some of this stuff, I believe, when we talked at one of the meetings. And blow off debris, just keep it looking halfway decent. Then I'm sure we'll get some volunteers eventually to go over and mop it occasionally and clean it and that kind of good stuff. And they're hoping, too, that eventually a sign will be put up down at 9th Street and the Deuce Club's with the arrow pointing, like the Veterans Memorial. Well, folks, that's all I really wanted to present to you guys. Is I wanted to say thank you. I want to give you a little brief update. I'm not asking for any kind of an approval for anything. That might have to happen if there's any kind of a agreement between Main Street and this subcommittee that we're in this fledgling committee. So I want to, more than anything, just thank you guys and present the memorial to you. And thank you again. Have a good night. Thank you for having me.
Before you leave, John, Main Street, John and his lovely wife Betty came to Main Street and asked him for see if we could give him a hand. So Main Street did vote on that, and we're going to be doing a subcommittee to preserve the police memorial and also the veterans memorial. Try to put everything together. But the subcommittee is going to be formed to take care of it, and hopefully every 3 months or whatever we have to do to scrape it and remove all the sealer and put it all back on. So Mr. Jared is going to have 2 or 3 other people on this subcommittee. I'm going to be on the subcommittee from the Main Street and reporting back to them, which then report back to the council. So it's something that's so beautiful that we definitely don't want it to dissipate or make it look old. We wanted to keep on making it look fresh and making it something viable for the city of Show that we spent so much time on, that we want to keep that going. So we're going to be working together. There's a couple other things that the committee is going to bring to the council and let the council know what we're looking at doing and stuff. And today we lost another Game and Fish Department officer, I believe, worked up here in Navajo County. Mike Holleran passed away today. So those are things that we can talk about and see if we can do things. But this memorial, just like John said, is to enhance and to show people that we had a lot of people in our community that served and protected us and give us the right to honor them the best that we can honor them. So thank you, John and Betty, for everything you've done.
Anybody have any questions or other thoughts?
No, I got a quick comment. I think I've told you this already. I ditto all those comments. And, when you came to the council a couple of years ago about this vision, because you were kind of frustrated about where it was at, and it was hidden, it was under the grass, and we all get it. And I think we all forgot it was even there. So again, I thank you for your vision and thank you for going out. He went out and raised all that money. It wasn't like he had that money in his pocket. John and his committee went out and raised all that money to make that happen. And once again, John, thank you and your whole committee and everybody that helped you for going out and do that. That thing's going to be there long after we're gone, and it's frustrating. We need it, but it's awesome to have it too. So again, thank you. And I think we have a short video. We have a video to play real quick too.
Law enforcement is not a job. It's not a career. It's a call on one's life from God.
That was awesome. Amazing. Betty, thank you too. I probably forgot to thank you, but I know he kept you up many hours of the night during this whole process, but I thank you both very much for doing that. Just real quick comment. Our city attorney kind of made a comment to me today that kind of touched our hearts a little bit as she drove. I think it was today sometime as she came to work, there were some people there and it kind of caught her attention, and you could tell that there was a guy standing there that very distraught. So people are visiting already, and she didn't stop, didn't want to interrupt them, didn't want to ask what they're, but she could tell that it was just, it's nice to see that they can kind of go visit that. So again, John, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, next item on the agenda is presentation of the change to fiscal year 2024 city managers recommended budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. Mr. Johnson. Oh, be up a little bit.
Mayor, good evening, Mayor and Council. The purpose of the presentation tonight is to discuss changes that were made after we last met with the council for a study session around the 1st of April. As you know, as we work through the budget process, we do our best to get everything in there. We do our best to estimate what our projects are going to be as far as completion, what needs to be carried over, what's going to be finished. So without fail, every year, due to the time lag, we always have some adjustments that we need to make. Fortunately, this year, we feel like our number of changes is a little bit less than it normally is, but just a quick refresher on our public process for working through the budget. We have our first study session January 17th, and then a budget town hall for the public on the 19th of January. On April 4th, we do a recommended budget overview at a council meeting. And then we have a town hall and budget study session on April 6th. So that's kind of led us up to this point. Tonight, we have a review of the draft tentative. So at the next meeting in June, we'll bring to the council a tentative budget for adoption. And once the tentative budget is adopted, then we can't increase the limit at that point. We can make changes and reduce, but we can't increase. And final budget adoptions on June 20th. And then the secondary tax rate adoptions on July 8th. This is a chart showing our budget history. In the blue is our budget number, and then in the red or maroon is our actual expenditures. So we typically underspend the budget by quite a bit each year. Looks like we're on track to do the same for this year. Part of that's because not every project gets funded. Things don't always happen, and we aren't able to complete every project within the fiscal year. Sometimes they carry over from year to year. Sometimes they don't happen. For fiscal year 24, our proposed budget at this point is $135.2 million. That is a significant increase, but there are a couple of key drivers for that increase. The biggest one is the Scott Ranch Road project. In years past, we've only budgeted our match money, which is about $1.1 million with our money combined with the county. This year, we have the full project in there at $25 million. So you can see going from 98 to 135, that's a huge chunk of it. There's an additional $10 million on top of the Scott Ranch Road. There's a couple of things that make up that $10 million. Most of it is our projects that we've asked for congressionally directed spending, 3 big projects around $2 to $3 million each. And then we increase the amount of money for the potential event center by $2 million. So just the rough math on that, those 4 or 5 things get us from $98 million to $135 million. Any questions on that? On operating revenues, a few modifications here really related to grant funding opportunities for the school resource officers. With some things going on in the nation, we had a couple of requests for us to take a look at potentially adding to the safety at the local schools. And we were able to get 2 more SROs, so there'll be an SRO at each one of the 4 schools in Show Low city limits. And we'll start advertising for those 2 new positions. We've had 2 previously, one at the junior high, one at the high school. Now we'll have one at both the elementary schools as well. That's the $259,000, which gets us from $80.1 million to $80.443. Other revenue changes, just an increase in the fund balance. As we work through the process, we find that we didn't have to budget for the PSPRS this year, which increases our fund balance. And then you see the $259 that we just spoke about with the SROs. And then the operating transfers decreased slightly. On the expenditure side, a total of $2.3 million in modifications, bringing the tentative budget amount to $135.2 million. I won't go through each of these projects individually, but just to kind of hit on some of the highlights. On the top half, most of those you'll see in yellow, the negative numbers. That means that we were planning to carry the project money, but we ended up spending more of it than we were estimating, so that reduces the amount. And then we also had some changes with the annual slurry seal. That one's always a tricky one because the project's bid usually the end of April, 1st of May, and we're never sure if it's going to be done by the end of June to be able to be billed in this fiscal year. So a lot of times we just end up making that payment in July of the next year, so we have to carry funds over to do that. And then we've had a couple of bigger projects, the Park Valley Fulls Hollow AC waterline replacement that we weren't planning to carry as much. We had to increase that by $700,000, and then the East McNeil reconstruction, 8th to Central, which is over by Nicholas Homestead Elementary, and that one's going to carry as well. So that makes up most of the modifications for capital carryovers. And then just some other expenditures for the SROs, and the one I didn't mention before was a full-time person for assisting the police department with accreditation. That's $299,000. One of the city-owned hangars at the airport. We got that request a little later in the budget process. That's $100,000. And then I'll talk about this in more detail in a little bit, but our refuse, we're going to have an increase to our waste management fees due to CPI and fuel costs. And then on the parks facilities, they're planning to do some work on the bleachers at Senior Field. And that makes up most of the non-capital project for changes. So in summary, capital carryover is $1.5 million, and then other modifications, $760,000, which brings the total to $2.3 million. We'll continue to monitor revenues and economic activity. We can still make changes, as I mentioned before. We'll watch it closely. If we spend project money for capital, we'll reduce the capital carryover amount, but we expect this number to be pretty close to what it'll be when we bring it back to the council in June for the tentative adoption. As far as the sanitation rate changes, with waste management, the contract allows them to do a CPI and fuel index increase. These are hard numbers that are produced by the federal government for CPI and fuel index. So we don't really have an option. We have to accept those changes as part of the contract. So for this year, the increase is about 10%, and it's going to be going from $17.50 to $19.25. And I do realize that's a significant increase, but just as a reminder for the council, when we first switched to the recycle cans back in 2012, 2013, we were paying about $17.20. So up until this current year, we were paying less than we were almost 10 years ago. And with this increase, we will be paying more at the $19.25. But we've done everything we can internally from the staff's perspective to try and keep these rates at a minimum. Any questions on the sanitation? So that's what I have for the council tonight. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to discuss the changes. Are there any questions?
Good, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
I just want to thank, there's a couple of people with the budget. I know it's been long. You saw the schedule. So the first one I think we need to thank is Carrie Bilby. She does a phenomenal job. I think she's the person behind the scenes. We won't make her come up and talk. I know that's probably not her favorite thing to do, but
She loves it.
she does a phenomenal job. And I think that we as a city are very fortunate to have some of Carrie's caliber and her capabilities. Second is Justin, obviously, thank you for all the time and the energy that you put in for, you know, I know that it's, there's a lot of meetings and a lot of times that you have to go and meet with all of our department heads and you're going through this. It's almost a full time dealing with the budget, and you have a lot of other responsibilities. And so I want to thank you. And then also I want to thank the city manager. This is his first full budget he's gone through as being the city manager. And I want to thank Morgan for that and making sure that we are, I look at our budget and I look at, you know, the fact that we have never spent our entire budget makes me feel like we are being fiscally conservative and we're planning. And I want to thank the rest of the council members. You know, I'm a newbie here on the council, and I appreciate the conservative approach that those of you who've been on here for a long time have set, and the pattern that you have, and the stewards that you've been with the taxpayers' money. It's a great to see, and it's really a great example. Each time we're in meetings when dealing with the budget, everybody's very cognizant of all of the money that we are bringing in from the taxpayers. Even, I mean, looking at this as a $1.75 rate, you know, there was discussion and concern about that. And for most people, that's probably insignificant, but we recognize there are members of our community who that would be a significant increase, and that does cost them money. And so we don't make those decisions lightly. And that's something that the council, you know, those of you who've been on here for a while have taught me, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Councilman Clark, appreciate it. Councilman Austin.
I just want to diddle Councilman Clark. I really like the screenshot of the second one about the actual and the budget and actual. That has been a thing back ever since I've been on it, that we have never spent our budget before. And it looks like, you know, as what we can see, we only spent about 75% of that budget compared to other cities and towns. So I think that's why our checking accounts looks a little bit better than anybody else's, because we are conservative of what we look at and what we spend. You know, the $25 million that we're putting in for Scotch Ranch Road, that is a big safety factor for us that this council and previous councils have been trying to get to help us if there is another fire evacuation or anything else like that. So it's a major project that we've been looking for a lot of years, and we're hoping that will come through for us and that we can spend that money. But if it doesn't spend, it's going to be carried over again. So whatever we don't spend on that bridge, we'll do it in another year or so. But everybody on this council, I really believe, hopes that bridge goes through this year. So we'll see what happens. Thank you, though, Justin.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is consent calendar. We'll consider a lease agreement with Arizona Labor Force, consideration of acceptance of the tennis courts, and consideration of the minutes of the May 2nd, 2023 meeting. Entertain a motion or discussion.
So moved.
I have a motion. I need a second. Got a second? All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda under new business is a consideration of award of construction contract for the airport hangar. We're going to eliminate that item. We're not quite ready for that just yet, so we'll probably put it on the next agenda item. So we're gonna eliminate that one. So we'll go to item B, consideration of award of a construction contract for City Hall roof, City of Show Low project number FM 5623, and authorization of associated budget transfers. Mr. Cupp.
Mayor, let me interrupt for a second. I think I'm going to collect a conflict of interest on this. Same company is going to be putting a roof on my house, and I don't for any reason want them to think, or anybody to think, that I'm getting a kickback for my roof or anything else for having it done this way. So I'm going to excuse myself from this one.
Okay. Mr. Cupp.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Show Low City Hall was renovated in 2011, and one of the elements of this work was the installation of a spray foam roof system. This roof came with a 10-year warranty, which is now expired. Over the past year, leaks have begun to appear. The city's fiscal year 2022 budget includes funding for the replacement of the roofing at the city campus, but this work is not ready to begin. Because of the existing leaky condition at City Hall, staff feels that the roof should be repaired prior to the start of monsoon in July. To this end, staff proposes to use the budgeted funding for the city campus to complete the City Hall roof this year. Funds for the city campus project are included in the proposed 2024 budget. Scope of work for this project includes installing approximately 10,750 square feet of new membrane 60 mil TPO roofing with mechanical fasteners over the existing spray foam roofing. The work also includes installing ice and water barrier under all of the new roofing, removing and replacing all pipe jacks, condensate drain lines, drip edge scuppers, remove and reset parapet cap, detach, reset, and reseal air handlers, and repair cracks using elastomeric roof coating. The work also includes inspecting the existing metal roofing. There's some of the roof, the small part of the roof is metal, replacing any screws as necessary, and then sealing all pipe jacks and penetrations. The request for bids was prepared by city engineering staff and advertised per statutory requirements. These three companies attended the mandatory pre-bid meeting. Only one bid was received. The results are as follows. KGJ Roofing, $91,465.09. This bid is within the expected price range for the project. Staff recommends awarding the construction contract for Show Low City Hall roof replacement, City of Show Low project number FM 5623, to KGJ Roofing in an amount not to exceed $91,465.09, and authorizing the associated budget transfers. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Tripp, any questions or comments?
I don't know if I missed it. What is the warranty period on this new?
That's a good question. It's a minimum of 15 years. I'm still negotiating with KGJ to try to get that moved up to 20, but currently the minimum on that roof is 15.
Other questions, comments?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to award the construction contract for Show Low City Hall roof replacement, City of Show Low project number FM 5623, to KGJ Roofing in an amount not to exceed $91,465.09, and authorize the associated budget transfers.
Got a motion, I'll second it. All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, sir. I can tell you that I don't know how long that roof is. I know that building's old, and we've been patching it since we've owned it, and I'm glad to see we're finally going to put a roof on it.
Yes.
The patching isn't working anymore.
Well, it kind of feels like the monsoons have hit us this week. It's kind of, it's nice, but it's kind of, hopefully we can get this done.
All righty, next item on the agenda is summary current events. Awesome.
Thank you. I just attended a Main Street board meeting. If everybody noticed, this Saturday was the first farmers market walk for the Main Street. It was packed. If nobody went there, it was just unbelievable. And everything is full. We have 35 vendors that stand in line for anything that opens up where they can get into that. So it is a big thing for the Main Street, and it's a big project. And we just want to thank everybody for being there and supporting the farmers market and art walk. Second thing is today, or really it was a couple of days ago, I just happened to call Mr. Jarrett early in the morning and said, hey, do you happen to know that this is Police Officers Week for this? And so I said, what can we do about that? And so that's something else that we're going to put on our agenda on the subcommittees, is what we can do for Police Officers Week with the memorial later on down the road. So there's a lot of neat aspects that we can do with this, and a lot of things. We just don't want to get it too cumbersome, but we want to definitely show our support for the people that fought for us and protect us. And so those are just some of the things that we're looking at. So other than that, that's my report. Thank you.
I just want to send my thank you to the engineering staff and to Shane in particular. I was at the city gym today. Most people don't know this just by looking at me, but I do work out regularly. And I was standing there while it was raining. The lion's share of the storm was coming, and everything worked perfectly. The water was sheeting where it was supposed to go. That parking lot's brand new. And after it was done raining, probably 5 minutes later, there was no pooling. There was nothing there. It was really quite phenomenal to see how well the engineering staff did with that, and also the contractor and stuff. So please send my thank you to, Mr. Cup, to your team, and also to Shane and all of his team. They did a great job on that. And so it's great to see when we're doing these improvements, how they work, how they're supposed to be designed. The second one is next Thursday is the Shola High School graduation. I want to congratulate all the seniors who've worked very hard to get to this point and to make it happen. I want to thank the educators also who have gone above and beyond for not a lot of pay, very time consuming to help these kids get to this point where they can go to that next step in their life. And so that's going to be happening next Thursday at Sholo Stadium there. So.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? I'm pretty excited about the graduation. I get to thank each one of them. So it takes a while to congratulate each one of them. Just to let everybody know, last Friday, the bunch of staff here, city manager, cooked, I don't know how many burgers they ended up cooking for our 7th anniversary, but it was nice to see them standing there by that grill. They know how I feel every day now. They just burning burgers. So thank you, Morgan, for making that happen. Then we had about 36 teams come over for our SCA contest, which is State Cook-Off Association, which was pretty good. We're going through some growing pains. We have some issues with the public as far as coming to the event, because normally they're tasting barbecue. This year it was a steak event with a bunch of sides. They didn't like my food, which, sorry, but we actually got, I think, 6th place in hot dog. But other than that, they didn't like my steak. I guess they should have I think they did put it in the trash, then pull it back out, then judge it. But anyway, it was really fun. We got some exciting plans for next year that we're already talking about. But it was fun because we had teams fly in from Kansas, Iowa, New Mexico. So it's a growing event. I know the 4-meat barbecue contest is kind of just stagnant right now because of the expense of travel and of the expense of meat. If anybody knows anything about competition barbecue, I can tell you a competition brisket's running about $350. We all use Wagyu, so it's just getting too expensive. So now we do ribeye steaks, which I'm saying it's not cheap, but it's cheaper. So we had a lot of people from out of state, a lot of in-state too, but it was a great event. Saturday, just to let everybody know that was there, there's a little issues with the blow-up, what do they call them things anymore? Blow-up? Bouncy houses, you can imagine. They go flying away pretty easy. So our insurance carrier won't let us use those, and we didn't realize that till the last minute. So I know Jay and his staff was calling around to try to find something for kids to do, and they had a few things over there. I know they were expecting that, but I can tell you that they fired up the splash pad. There was kids out there. I think it shuts off at 5:30, which I don't sure why. Or maybe it doesn't. Anyway, it's on a timer for every 15 minutes, and I was parked right there. So I got sprayed all weekend because if you remember last weekend, it was windy. But that place was packed. Kids fully clothed. They didn't care. It was amazing to watch. But it's I know there's a little bit of work to do it as far as pressure goes, but it's up and running. And I can tell you, I've been there every day this week just to drive by, and I don't know why those kids aren't in school, but that's not my call. But anyway, it's open, running, and it's pretty exciting. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll just remind everybody that the city's 25th annual Project Clean Sweep kicks off this week. Shola residents can dump their green waste for free at Dirty Deeds Green Waste through Saturday, May 20th. And again from Monday, May 22nd to Saturday, May 27th. That's from 8 to 4 p.m. out here by the Cinder Pit. Also, other services through Project Clean Sweep will take place beginning in June. There's a flyer with more information posted on the city's website and on our social media. With the public works projects, we got a couple that are still going on. Of course, this is the time of year when that kicks up. And the city contractor is cleaning up and doing some minor valve adjustments on the East Owens and Mills water line. That should be completed here shortly. And then on 5th and 6th Place sewer replacement project, the construction was complete on 6th Place, and they're moving over to 5th Place. The West McNeil asphalt repair is scheduled to be repaved in the next few weeks. And the East Owens extension project is scheduled in the last week. We thank you guys for your patience as we make these improvements on our roads.
Schedule of meetings, I don't think we have any right now. Again, thank you all for joining us tonight, and thank you for your concerns, what's going on in our community. Definitely bring them to us. That's how we get things done. I think we're kind of in a complaint-driven community. I had a guy call me the other day because I had some work done in front of my house, and it had nothing to do with me sitting up here. I promise you, it's taken me, I don't know, probably 6 years over the years of getting this project done. So I had a neighbor call me complaining about his culvert in front of his house was smashed. And I was like, well, why didn't you tell us? So let us know what's going on in the community. We don't know if you guys don't tell us. And like I said, I appreciate you joining us tonight and voicing your concerns, because we're very concerned as well. All right, if there's no more business before this council, I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, guys.